currently with us here in the UK as a Chevening scholar, and I'm just gonna give it over to her and let her talk a little bit more about herself and how she got here. Yeah, and what's her plans, basically. Yeah.
Thank you, Luisa. Hi, Malolele Fafitakeiki. My name is Gyasi Prescott, all the way from Tonga, and I'm here on the Shivling Scholarship. But a little background of me: before I came here, I was a teacher back in Tonga College. Woo! And that's an all boys school back in Tonga. So I was teaching there before I got a scholarship, and now I'm in the UK and I'm doing a postgrad studies on applied linguistics with TESOL.
Okay. Okay. And Cassie, when did you come to the UK? When did you move over basically for studies?
I actually got here on last year, September. I think 18 or 19. So I started last year in September.
And where are you based?
Okay. Based in University of Birmingham in Birmingham.
Okay. All right. So one of the things that I do here is I'm a part of Marama Alliance UK. So we're a Fijian voluntary organization. Well, it's a voluntary organization for Fijian women, addressing Fijian women's needs and trying to get signpost them to information like for the Fijian women that are here in the UK, largely in part due to them coming over as military wives like myself. And so one of the things that I do is, as part of MOC, or Marama Alliance UK, is actually look after like education and professional development and stuff like that. And so you and I have spoken a bit before this, mostly about that and other things that we're going to collaborate on. But yeah, what I wanted to really talk to you about, just first of all in this live session, was just tell us a little bit about your journey to being a Chevening scholar, because as I understand it, the Chevening Scholarship is quite a prestigious award. It is it's highly popular, highly competitive because it's open to almost every country in the world, except the UK. And like we have students coming in from the Pacific. In the last, at least in the last 10 years that I've been here, I've seen students come through. And my relationship with the Chevening scholars, I wasn't a Chevening scholar, but a couple of my friends have been. I've had a former workmate from Fiji who's come through the tuning program, and he has actually come back. He's actually moved to the UK to now live and work. And I've also had a Samoan girl that I was in university with, who has also come through Chevening, this Chevening program. She was actually in Wales, in Cardiff, while we were posted in Wales. So that's kind of like how my interest or relationship with the Chevening scholars from the Pacific came about. And because I always think that as Pacific Islanders, we wherever we go in the world, especially if there's not that many of us, we tend to gravitate towards the Pacific community and things like that. So I guess if you want to speak to what were your expectations before you came, like what were you kind of looking for when you came here, what were you expecting within the community, Tongan or Fijian or Pasifika or whatever the case may be, and what's the reality been like since you got here?
Okay. Thanks, Lulu. But before I could answer that, I see Lucy here. Shout out to Lucy Pasifiki Tonga. Thank you for the say.
Oh,
For
which is the one who sent you the say. Oh, nice.
Layola, before I could answer this is from Layola Tonga. So you guys, if you guys want, they have different varieties of say. So this is just a shout out here. You can email them at sales@leola.com and order your says. They have different kinds, so it's available online. So, but I see you, Lucy, and thank you to Lotus with the say all the way from Tonga, and thank you for joining us tonight. And yeah, for being a Chevening scholar, yeah, it is prestigious, it is competitive, but I just wanted um, to to say that it's available for Pacific students, and I think I was the first teacher to get a scholarship for Chevening scholarship. But one thing that actually pushed me to do this, because I've seen people holding up their post at the little uh, paper saying, I cannot contain, can't keep quiet. Yeah. So that was a driving force for me because I already envisioned myself that I was holding that piece of paper. So I said, God, I want to hold this piece of paper. And so the journey it's a long journey, but it teaches you how to be patient and trust the process. And and you give it your all, because it's not just filling in the form and just leave it like that, because it has different process. After that, you wait for, if they give you an opportunity to get interview, and after the interview, then they will select you, and then you'll have to go do your biometrics and all that, and you get secured with the process. But I just wanted to highlight that if you're a person that it just teaches you how to be patient, because it's all good things, doesn't um what was the word that it takes a while to get to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All good things come to those who wait.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all good things come to those who wait. So, but I just wanted to encourage everybody, whoever's tuning in or listening, that it's available, it's out there, and you can, it's, if it can be me, I mean, it can be anybody else, in the Pacific. So for me, when I see some of my students got the scholarship, I thought to myself, well, if I can teach them to go and get the scholarship, why not me? So I gave it a try, and I prayed about it. It was a long journey. And then I trusted God with the process, and then and then I got it. For expectations, I my expectation of coming here was, it is different. I know it's going to be different. The weather was different. That's the first thing that they prepped me about, was the weather. You have to get ready for cold weather. And one of my aunts said that for going to UK, you have to expect four season in a day, and they weren't lying. So that's the culture shock, was that it's just the weather. That's the first thing that I expected to face, was the weather. And the second of all was that since I'm a student rep in the school, there are some things that I found out. The UK Convention of Academia, it's kind of different to where I did my undergrad. Shout out to USB. No, I did my undergrad in USB, and they trained me a lot. They prepared me a lot. But to do a postgrad in the UK, it's a totally different convention here. But I what I like is that even though it's a different convention, but they have different avenues of helping you out. If you're struggling with or how to construct an academic writing, they have avenues for that. And I think that's one of the things that I already expected to face when I come here. And with the community, I found out there's like Tongan communities, and there are Fijian community. They're they're all Pacific community around in UK, and getting in touch with them also gave me a home touch base that it helps me with just getting along. And one example was just today we had a meeting for the shooting scholars in Birmingham, and it just lightened up everybody's face to just come together and to have to belong in a community here. So I expect it to be, away from family and away to study. But what I found is that you can also connect to people in your class or your flatmates. I think it just depends on you if you're open up to that. If not, if you want to struggle by yourself, go ahead and struggle by yourself. But there are, God always provides ways and people, to get along, to get settled and be able to face those challenges.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, you mentioned something there, yeah, which is the community, like the community around you. Um, and you've actually made it um your mission to kind of create this community around you, even within the Chevening scholars. You've got the Chevening Pacifica scholars, and then you've got like the Chevening Birmingham scholars as well, that you organized, like you mentioned, today, for you all to meet, and just fellowship, like, have some food and just get in touch with each other, and I guess get to know each other better. You're here for a very short time. Just tell us a little bit about how long your program is, and what that does for you. Like knowing that you're only here for like a year. How much of an impact do you want either the UK to have on your life or your experience, or the reverse? How much you want to impact the communities here, and where you've been placed, which at the moment is in Birmingham.
Thank you. From the Pacific Chevening, we got close when we had the orientation, and we kind of connected to each other. And we are still looking for Pacific community event community so that we could join. I think just gives us a taste of home and play some Pacific music and all that. But it's always good for us to just get in touch with other Pacifica students who are in the Chevening as well. And for example, today, just people from different continents and different parts of the world. For the Shooting Scholars, we got together and share food. I think if we're Pacific spirit, it doesn't matter what you bring. I was sharing with them about my culture that in Tonga, if there's any event, you bring food. We're always around food, and they thank me later, but I told them, no, this is normal. This is normal for Pacific cultures to do this because if you get to read our Pacific literature, it involves around gathering, and I guess it
That's right.
yeah. So I just wanted to bring in that Pacific blend, flavor into our meetings and, and break the barriers and, get everybody together. Because when we finish, we come out stronger. We know that somebody else has got our back. And for my program, it's just a 1 year master degree. And I will be finishing off in September and graduating in December. But that's how short the program is. And I try to fit in all other activities because I want to embrace the British culture. I raised it up with our student reps meeting with the school. So they kind of opened up a trip, like trips to Stratford upon Avon for the Shakespeare Royal theater for students to go there. So I was just happy to create space. I think I would identify myself as a connector or someone who just loves to create space for other people to enjoy and come Talanoa and, just share things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So uh, I think that's my impact on this. Is just telling them this is how Pacific people do it. You know,
Yeah.
no man is an island. So I was
Yeah.
just, sharing that with them. And for the communities, even I even asked them, okay, do you guys like rugby? Because we Pacific people, we love rugby. Some of them enjoy rugby. We could chat about rugby. But, joining these communities, I just wanted to give them a taste of what Pacific is really it. We're even though we're far away from here, they that's what everybody says. What are you doing here? Like, why are you, there's Australia and New Zealand, go there. And I said, I did not have a choice because shooting scholarship, brings you to the UK. So just earlier today, I was just sharing with the students that to enjoy it, you have a choice, or you don't have a choice. If you wake up, you wake up. You're granted an extra day to live, so you make the most of it. And it's that influence that I would just want to bring into to students and even my communities, whatever community that I'm in, that I bring in. I just tell them it's specific, and mostly I tell them, credit all goes back to God, because for me to get here, it's faith in God, and it's God. If He opens door for me, He can also open doors for others. I think. Am I answering the questions?
Yes, yes, you are. Yeah, yeah. I have a question from the audience, like people who have joined us on the live. If you have any questions you wanted to ask Kia or myself, you can just put it in the comments. Miri has asked Kiasi, like because you mentioned this earlier, the academic conventions here in the UK are very, very different from the Southern Hemisphere. And it is quite intense. Miri, she was thinking, she was wondering, in terms of learning style in the UK, her main struggle was learning to develop the critical thinking, and she's wondering if that was the same, like if that is the same for you, or if you've noticed it at all, like during your first sort of like couple of months. Well, you're almost halfway through your program now.
Yeah. That's funny because I got one colleague of mine was just sharing earlier today how if you do reference, like local reference, they don't like it, but he's on a different cohort. So I was just listening in because I just open space for students to just talk and I said, what do you mean by local reference? He said, I have to, he has to follow the requirements of, the just, I don't know if that was a thing, but he said to avoid doing local reference, just use
Like local to him,
local,
local to him.
local to him. Don't,
Right. I
don't
get you. Yeah.
that. But for develop critical thinking, I always get into trouble when I do that. Yeah, I did, Miri. I did struggle with, developing critical thinking about stuff because I have to learn whether, like most research, I had to ask if most research was done in other native English speaking country,
Yeah.
or was this study just based on native English country. And it just, the lecturer would say this and that, but I did uh, go struggle with critical thinking until I went to the university offers like international academic writing, academic support system. So I'm kind of in that session because my dissertation is coming up. So I'm joining that, Mary, to, like, for me personally,
To
so
help
I
you.
can develop. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an interesting topic that Mary brought up because and you've touched on it as well, Kia, because I had the same struggles as well when I was doing postgraduate studies here. And well, it's a long story. We should have another live for this particular thing. Um, but but somehow for me it's some kind of learning that we may have missed out on, that maybe we hadn't been taught well about, about how to really critically think about the things that have been presented to us. And then the way that we think that we're thinking critically isn't quite what the lecturers mean. Um, so yeah, interesting. Yeah, interesting topic. Um, so, um, tell us a little bit about your field in this. Like now that we're talking about like the actual, learning, and you, even though you're here, you've come to the Tuning, or you've been given a Tuning award. You're making use of like the academic English services because we're talking about like different styles of learning, academic conventions, but tell us a little bit about, some of us might be interested in knowing what actually is your subject or your field of research
Okay.
or what you're doing. Yeah.
Every time I said I'm doing applied linguistics, most questions comes the question that comes after it is like, okay, what kind of language you studying? It's like, how many languages do you speak? But I said I'm not studying about other languages. I'm not learning other languages. I'm just talking. I'm just studying about, it's linguistics in the concept, discourse in grammar and how to use the language and different avenues and doing corpus linguistics and TESOL. It's teaching English to speakers of other language. So English is not my first language. English is my second language, so I struggle in how to construct like an academic piece of writing. So I actually failed my first module, like one essay, and I mean, I learned how to reconstruct my essay after that. I talked to other students who are on the same scholarship and they're coming from different places. They did not do well in their first essay. I think it's because we did not actually do it like how it is.
Expected. Yeah. What's expected of,
And
yeah. Yeah. I get.
in my field, since it's about language, I have to learn how to use the language.
Mm.
And I can't do that by myself. I have to seek help. And even my tutors, they have office hours. They help you with that. And I just go to the avenues like the library. They have services that they give you. This is how you do this. This is how you write this, and ask you to approach it from different levels. But then my program allows me to explore how language is used, for political correctness and the power of
Okay.
language and how language is used to manipulate others and and different, it's how you use the language. So basically what I'm studying is how language is used in different places and in academics or outside academics. It's just that you have to get those skills in using the language, I think. But that's my field. It's about language. I'm not studying other languages. I can only speak English and Tongan and understand a little bit of Fijian and Samoan, but I don't study languages. I just study how to apply those linguistics, skills in different avenues, I think.
Okay. Now, yeah, like something interesting I wanted to just touch on, because when we're talking about this, like, Mary was asking about critical thinking, and then you spoke about your first module and also accessing the, the academic English. For our students who may be here, who are brought up here, who may find the same struggles, what would you say to them, or anyone who's currently here, like who has, maybe like myself, is a migrant, who lives here, who has moved here now and is thinking of taking further studies. As Pacific Islanders, I'm speaking very generally here. Don't come for me. But we we kind of like want to think that we speak English because we've had to use it through school and things like that, and we will be okay. Because for me, that was certainly my attitude when I went into this my program, and um, I had a really tough time, and I too had to access the academic English service. That's what the one in St. Andrews is called. Speak a little bit to that, to why we still need to do that, or don't be afraid to do that, like, because it'll help us, because we have this kind of like idea that we'll be okay, and then when we're not, maybe we'll be like too shy to ask for help in these big places, like, because the universities here are huge.
Mm. Yeah, you know that I think it's a movie. It's okay not to be okay. You know, I think it's because we are very cultured and sheltered that we don't seek help. I find that if I got the same, uh, same learning that I've done in Tonga, if I was prepped like how I'm prepped here in Tonga, I wouldn't have to struggle. But I'm thankful that there are other, places like avenues that help us with, you you know, just if you know that you're struggling, there are other places to reach out because they will help you. And also, but something that I've learned, like personally, is that I don't get to lose my mother tongue as well. Like I something that I've learned from Tonga is that when you master your mother tongue, it's easy to learn to acquire your second language. But then there are other ways how to use your second language. That's when you go to these avenues that they could help you with. The library, they have different services that could help you with that. And I think for the students, for children who are children of the migrants here, they have access to a lot of information and help. Use it. Uh, what I found is that they're free. If you're in the school, they're free.
Yeah,
I was introduced to Manchester Phrase Bank or something. You don't have to pay for it. I you know, I learned from it. And also, I think for anybody, I don't speak for just Pacific Islanders because when I go to these services, I find myself I'm the only Pacific person in it. There are a lot of Asians, Africans, law, because they want to learn. You just have to be teachable
yeah,
and come with an because at the end of the day, it's building you and your skills, and those things cannot be taken away from you because once you master those skills that they get to teach you for free, or you get it at school, you use it because the more you use it, the more better you become. I think, yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's right. And yeah, that's really true. Like, these services are everywhere. They're in all universities will have an academic English service because they have to have the pre-sessionals for, kind of like other degrees that require a certain level of English, like the medical degrees and things like that. So don't be afraid to go and find out where these sessions are, and get yourself some help to write these essays and do your exams and things like that. You mentioned that, Kara, the phrase mother tongue. So this week it was International Mother Tongue Language Day. So your mother tongue is Tongan. It's not mine. It's my mother's tongue. My mother tongue is actually Fijian. Um, but tell us about your mother tongue, Tongan, because I know we talked about this a little bit as well, about how you like it. It's kind of like a dream of yours if you could get published, I guess, or do like a research, carry out research and write a thesis or dissertation in your mother tongue? Why?
Malo. Um, because I think it gives the authority of who you are as a person. If you write it in, you write your research in your mother tongue, and if and then get somebody to translate it for the university. But I'm not sure about there's any study in the Pacific that they're really write their dissertation or thesis in their mother tongue. But for me, that's something that I wanted to do, is to write my thesis and my dissertation on in Tongan. So because I want the Tongan people to get involved as well, because I don't want it just for academic people. I want the people, everybody to read it, because there's a certain level of academic writing that you have to meet, to get it published. But I wanted to write it in Tongan. It's for my people. It's my study to benefit me and my people, and it be to the university later. But I wanted to do that. It's because it's who I am, and yeah, because I think there are plenty of study being done on us as Pacific Islands. The different people who comes and do their studies on us, but we haven't done our study, do studies on our own people, and to produce it in our own language, in our own mother tongue. Because I think, for example, I always get emotion if if I listen to a hymn sung in our own, language. It just hits differently. And I think that's why I wanted to write my thesis in Tongan. But I think that, I don't
I
know.
think in a way it's like representation as well, isn't it? Because we're talking about, in academia, we we had talked about how there's not much research that you can access. Well, you can get a lot of research on the Pacific Islanders and for the Pacific region, but they're written by a lot of people in the universities down in the Southern Hemisphere, whereas there's really very little here in the UK. And I've spoken to you about this before, and I think now when you're talking about that, like that it's for your people, that's the reason why you want to write in Tongan. It's just dawned on me that that's the thing that I was talking about, is really the representation in academic research, in academic journals and literature. Representation in the fact that not about who's written it, but about the language that it's written in.
Mm.
Would that make
There's
sense?
power in language, because I know that we have qualified doctors, PhD scholars in the Pacific, and my hats off to them, because they can beat the other scholars in that level, using English academic writing. But but how many of us, our people, can read that and understand what they have research on? I mean, that's my just personal view, that my
Yeah.
heart goes out to my people, for my people, and those who are in high school, they can access that too, and read it and understand
Yeah.
where it's coming from. I think the target audience will be so much when you do it in your own language,
Yeah.
and even already thinking of someone who's weaving a mat, and taking a break time and actually read your thesis in their own language,
Yeah.
because those the fishermen, that comes home, and because for me, my own people, they read the Bible in Tongan language
Yeah.
and understand so well. So why not produce academic writings in your own language,
Yeah.
you know them to understand it, and the wider the audience, the better understanding of what you're doing. And I think it'll be more hurtful when you're being criticized by your own people and what you're writing. I mean, it's different,
It keeps you
Yeah,
honest.
the Pacific people, man, they're so honest, right to the bones. They'll tell you. did this wrong. You should have said this word. You should have that. But I mean, that's what I wanted to do, is to do the thesis in my own mother tongue, because
Mhm.
it's for my
Yeah.
people. It gives
Yeah.
authority to my writing.
Yeah.
And it's third, it's just my own satisfaction, because that's one of my dreams.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
want to push the Pacific Island, scholars, is to, since we have a University of the South Pacific, we have National University in Samoa, we have
Yeah.
a National University in Tonga, you
Yeah.
know, because I found out some of my research here, readings, is that I have to, when I access a good piece of writing, it's in Italian or French, and I have to get access to the
Translate.
translation one,
Right. So
so I can.
it was originally written in a different language.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if they can, we can do it too. But I mean, I don't know if anyone has done that in our Pacific, but I
Mm.
would.
Yeah, yeah. I think I only knew of a Samoan scholar who did that. I think for the National University of Samoa, he did his PhD he wrote it in Samoan, and then he defended it in Samoan as well. Which really, like, for me, I felt really like proud of him, even though I don't know how to speak Samoan and I wouldn't understand. But yeah, um, and then, like, thinking of that, for me, I had to learn English at a very young age, like at 5, because Fiji education is it's English is our lingua franca. So it's the language of education, government, business, whatever. Um, and so one of the things that I regretted is that I didn't choose to continue learning Fijian past the point where it was compulsory. Now, Tonga is slightly different.
Yeah.
I knew that because, like I mentioned earlier, I grew up in Tonga as well. And with International Mother Language Day, one of the things that UNESCO, who, the one where International Mother Language Day comes under, said that globally, 40% of the population does not have access to an education in a language they speak or understand. Tell me about the Tongan situation. How do the children in Tonga start their education?
Preschool up to class 3, they are being taught in Tongan, and
Mhm.
I think just in class 6, I think they're introduced to English, but being taught as a language, but they they have access to English outside of the classroom. But I think that the education system wants to emphasize to use the Tongan language, because it's I don't know how to say it. I think it's because it comes. Okay, I'm not so sure what to say, but
What's the Tongan word?
uh, uh, I I can't even think of the Tongan word.
Is it because they're going to lose it, or?
I think it's because they have to think, like, cognitive reason.
Oh, wow. Yes, that's amazing. Yes, I've heard it before as well.
So
Yes.
they
Mhm.
have to understand things in their mother tongue, so they can be easily translated. Yeah,
Okay.
I
Okay.
think the whole point of it, and some students, they master it, and
Mhm.
it's acquire the second language will be very easy.
Yes. Yeah. That's really one of the big theories in um language acquisition, second language acquisition, is that if you have a very good understanding, or you have fluent literacy in your first language, um, any other language that you add on to it will be pretty good. You'll get proficient very quickly. Um, and I'm a great believer of that. Yeah, myself. Because, like I said, like I shared, so when we're talking about doing a dissertation or a thesis in our mother tongue, I would not have that confidence to do it in Fijian. Whereas you you do. You could actually do that, and I think it speaks to the different ways that we um not learned, I won't say, but well, maybe learned in our mother tongue, and how much of it, you know, we were made to learn to become fluent, like to have that fluency. They call it literacy skills, right? The speaking, writing, listening, yeah. Um, yeah, so yeah, that's an interesting interesting thought just to think about. I don't know if any of our viewers. Hi, Louisa just joined us. Anyone else have any questions for us or for Cassie? We're just gonna wrap it up. We've got a couple more minutes. So Cassie, um, we've talked a lot about this. Our fields of study are very similar, and so we're gonna launch a podcast, aren't we?
Yes. Okay. Yes. I We're going to launch a podcast that we're going to start, next week. A podcast for the basically UK, based in the UK. We've got a lot of Pasifika Talanoas from Australia, New Zealand, America, and
Yes,
places wanted to highlight, from this side of the world. And
yes, represent.
and we're not just going to focus on academics as well, because
No.
want to highlight the Pacific people,
Mhm.
here and being marginalized, but they contribute to the UK, and from rugby to schools to almost everything in the UK, and
Yeah.
we like that. And later on, I think we can reach out to other people. Will be what else, Luis? Did I miss
Yeah,
out?
yeah. Well, yes, you said it. We're gonna, it's gonna be like a conversation, Talanoa, just like we're doing here, just very informal, but just kind of speaking to the Pacifica community here in the UK, whether they live here or whether they're here temporarily, like Kiasi, who's studying, or whether they're playing rugby here while they're here, and then like of course they get moved if they get another contract somewhere. Whoever we can invite and who accepts our invitation to come and feature on our podcast, that's what's going to happen. If you know some people in the UK, some of your family members, or maybe like some Pacifica person, prominent or not, but is doing something great in the community, doesn't have to be someone well known, and you want us to feature them on the podcast, please let us know. Just send me a message on this account, or send Kia a message as well, and she'll pick it up. And so just to end, Kiasi, what did I say I was going to ask you? I think we've answered all the questions, the guiding questions that I had. Um, yeah. So just any last thoughts about your journey so far here in the UK? Maybe like our Pacific Islanders as well, like the Pacifica people who might avoid coming to the UK because they think there's not that many Pacific Islanders here. Yeah, you maybe want to say something about that?
Yes, thank you. Um, you know, we I think our mentality, the Pacific people, that they think small, that they think they can't make it out. But I just want to say, like we're in the UK. It's just like another country. You're just going to another island, and it's about. It's just the weather that is gonna, shake you a little bit. But but I think one thing about Pacific people is that they are resilient people.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I find here, that, from my background, upbringing, and everything, it has prepared you in so many ways how to come in, the budgeting, how to share your food, how to, everything about a Pacific person, it prepares you, not just for the UK, but for Europe, Asia, Africa, and all that. So I just wanted to encourage you, whoever's listening in and who's tuning in, You know, UK is for you. You know, don't think that UK is not for you. It's for you. Whether you're coming here for academic, whether you're coming here to work, the British Army, lots of Pacific people in the British Army, and you come here. There are a lot of people in prominent roles in the Commonwealth and everywhere UK. So if
Yeah.
they, you can do it too. And one thing that keeps me going in my journey is that trusting God.
Yeah.
You, it's you just have to trust God at His word. And I think for my journey so far is that when God brings me here, He has a purpose, He has a mission. And
Amen.
while you wherever you're tuning in from, or wherever God has placed you, in the UK, Europe, America, Tonga, Fiji, wherever you're working at, it's you know make use of it, because tomorrow is never guaranteed. You just use, God has blessed your hands, your brain, and skills. You just have to bless it. And one more thing that I learned about the British culture is that they don't say hello. That they don't say hi very much. But I mean, for us specific people, we always say Bula, hi, Makalele. I find it weird when I say good morning to some people and they don't reply to me, but I keep saying it. And on the train one day, I just happened to say to somebody, "How was your day?" Actually, I didn't want to, listen to "How was your day," but it gave that person, to break down and tell me about the day. And we're both strangers. But at the end, I prayed for her and she felt good, and we parted ways, and that was it. So you never know who you're going to meet in your journey. But I just challenge you, if you're alive, you got a purpose, God's still using you, and come to the UK. It's nice to have a lot of Pacific connection here. And, when I say I'm from Tonga, they're like Fiji. And I said, we're neighboring country and they're like, oh, okay, we love Fiji. Okay, you love me too. But, wherever you go, you're Pacific. It's in your blood, you're resilient. You can survive anywhere.
Mhm.
If you can fish tuna and crackers, but having a lot of tea, but yeah, you still. But yeah, want to invite everybody for our podcast.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you so much for your time and for allowing us into your living rooms or your offices for wherever it is that you're listening from. And thank you, Cassie. Such a godsend and just a divine orchestration for us to be here at this time and in this generation. Thank you. The highlights that we touched on today. As Pacifica people in the UK, we bring community, like wherever we are, we talk to everyone, we say hello to everyone, and we actually make time to listen to what they have to say back to us and help them in whatever way. Because as you said, God has allowed us to be here at the same time, in this time, and it's to impact each other. And as Pacifica people, this is what we do best. This is how He's using us. So, thank you everyone for your time. Thank you, Cassie, for being my first guest here. And thank you everyone who's excited about the podcast. Some of you might actually feature on it, but there we go. And hope you can join us again, same time in a couple of weeks when we have our next guest. Ofatu Lucy, thank you, Captain Riri, for watching, and Miri, and everyone else, and whoever's going to watch this back later on. Mother Manda and Cassie?
Yes, we'll see you, Leola, with our next say in our next podcast.
Ofatu. Bye-bye. Have a good evening.